see the spectacular St. Mark's Campanile, the Doge's Palace, and the Piazza San Marco from here, and the St. Mark. And this is Santa Maria della Salute, and this is where the Grand Canal is meeting the Giudecca Canal. And if you go back just at the top of the Campanile from there, the bells were ringing. And this is looking at here, it's spectacular. This is the San Giorgio Maggiore Church, and that's the Giudecca Island and the Redentore Church. So this is Venice. I'm in front of the St. Mark's Campanile in Venice. This is the most iconic part of the Venice, right? Everybody probably recognizes it. This was built about 100 years back when it was destroyed in 1902 and 1912. And so the current structure is about 112 years old. On the top we see the belfry containing the bells. It's a complicated system of bells, and the bells rings according to some schedule. So currently it's under renovation, and this small area is called a loggia, and then from here there is a lift that goes up, and we see those windows and this thing, right? This is the most recognizable part of Venice. I had seen the actual Venice 8.5 years after I seen it in Venetian in Macau, and then in Las Vegas also there is a Venetian. So the campanile there are many replicas of these campaniles in many parts of the world because it's the most inspiring. I love it, yeah, it's spectacular. Yeah, I just love it. This campanile. I'm in front of the St. Mark's Campanile in Venice. This is one of the structures that I really love the most. Unfortunately, it was closed. We couldn't go up. So Venice is, the city, the most beautiful and the romantic city, La Serenissima, and La Dominante, etc. So Venice is a total water city built on about 400 kind of bridges, and about 127 islands, and the beautiful. This is the center of the city. This is the Piazzetta, and that's the Piazza San Marco Piazza. And this is the most striking of all because it's a belfry with a campanile, and then there are 4 symbols of Venice, and the justice goddess kind of. And then we see the winged lion in Venice. But my attention is on the Piazza San Marco. The most beautiful structure in Venice is actually collapsed in 1902, and then they rebuilt it in about 10 years in 1912. So current structure is about 100 years, more than 112 years old, we can say. And it's the most beautiful structure in Venice. It's really remarkable. I'm in Venice, and this is called the Piazza San Marco. It has a beautiful, the building and the big square, and that's the Saint Mark's Basilica. There is a clock as well that side. And this is the most spectacular thing, This is called the Campanile, the St. Mark's Campanile, because St. Mark's is the patron saint of Venice. Venice is a very unique city, a beautiful romantic city called La Serenissima and so on. And it's built on about 400 bridges and 127 islands. And this is the most striking part because has a belfry and 4 symbols on either side, and on the top is a god of justice, kind of Justina. And then it has a lift where one can go up. Unfortunately, now it's not working because they are renovating the stuff. So the bells have a complicated system, and they have a timing system. So this structure is about 113 years old. It fell down in 1902 and 1902, and then they reconstructed it back in 1912. So it's spectacular. This is replicated across many areas in the world. There are many imitations and replicas of this campanile, actually, essentially a bell tower. And in places like Macau, Las Vegas, Venetian and so on. Actually, I saw the real Venice 8.5 years after I saw Venetian. So this is really spectacular. I love this, yeah. I'm at the center of the Venice called Piazza San Marco. Piazza is a large Roman square, and this is the the Piazza San Marco. These are beautiful old buildings, and that's the the Piazza, the St. Mark's Campanile, or Campanile in Italian. And then we see these these 3 iconic pillars. They have those golden the statues above them, and this is the St. Mark's Basilica. The Basilica of St. Mark's, basically. St. Mark's is a patron saint of Venice for more than 1,000 years, and then and that's the Palazzo Ducale, or the Doge's Palace. Doge is the local Duke of Venice. Duke is basically the head or the king of this kind of region. And then we see these 3 beautiful pillars with the sculpture, a lot of details, and this is a basilica in the sense. St. Mark's Basilica, and then there is also a clock. Probably it's not working, they're repairing it or something, so it's iconic again. And then to coming to my most favorite, the Campanile. I wanted to climb, but it's under repair or something. And then coming to the campanile, there are a few components. This is of course the third pillar, and then at a bit distance we see the two the symbol of Venice. That's the winged lion, golden winged lion is the kind of the symbol of Venice on one pillar, and then Saint Theodore, who is killing with the trident, and he's killing the crocodile and that kind of a dragon, and that's one thing. And then coming to this is called the Logetta. This Logetta is the entrance to this great campanile. I love this campanile, but unfortunately it's closed. And then this is the Doge's Palace in good detail. The entry to the Doge's Palace, the porch, and so on, and the San Marco Basilica. And then this is Logetta. It's very nostalgic just to be touching this Logetta. And this is actually when it's full functioning, we get through the steps like this, and then we go through, and then there is a lift, and then probably there are steps as well. The Logetta itself is very beautiful, though it's small. And then coming to the campanile, my most favorite in Venice. We climb the lift, and then there are bells, and there are a series of times when the bells chime. There's a lot of engineering behind them, and then very nostalgic to be just touching my most favorite campanile. So this is Venice again, and we are in front of the iconic St. Mark's Campanile. This was built in the 15th century, and then it broke down in 1902, and then it was restored in 1912, because in Venice they have a principle that everything that should be like if it is destroyed, or then they must restore it to just like that, so no changes. Like La Fenice Theatre Opera House was restored after fire a few times, and then the campanile is typically a bell tower, and bells are there. It's a very complicated system of bells, that rings. And this is iconic. I mean, I love this structure. There are many imitations of Venice around the world, but there is only one Venice on the planet. Like like in Macau and in Las Vegas, USA, and in Macau, China, they have built the Venetian with the campanile, and the gondola boats, and all the bring Doge's Palace. We see the St. Mark's Basilica in the background, and then the clock, St. Mark's kind of a clock, and this whole is called the St. Mark's Piazza San Marco, or the St. Mark's Piazza Square. It's a fantastic square. Of course, some part of it is undergoing some renovations, and particularly when you look towards the top from a drone view, you find these markings. These are probably for restaurant sitting or something. From the drone, you can find out these markings, and this is the St. Mark's Basilica, and that's the Doge's Palace. We just moved towards the Doge's Palace, and the this is the campanile. So I love this campanile. This is the most iconic the Venice campanile. This is the Bridge of Sighs, and this is actually called the Doge's Palace, or the Duke's Palace. Doge is a Duke in Italian. And then when the prisoners were after the trial, they were awarded the sentence, so they will pass through this bridge, and they will look up to the through those windows, through those holes, and then probably, because that's probably the last time that they will be seeing onto the world or the whole, so they will sigh, and that's why it's called a Bridge of Sighs. And we see this Venice with the beautiful gondolas and everything. And here is the incarnation of the jail cell, because we see the strong iron railings and pillars. So this is called a Bridge of Sighs.